So you want to know how to not gain weight during the holidays? Well, in today's video, I'm going to walk you through my best advice. Being a coach for 13 years, what I tell my clients every single time Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's roll around. If you're anything like the majority of people out there, your biggest fear is to gain back all the weight you lost all year to then pack it back on during the holidays and then be forced to lose it again next year. In this video, I'm going to walk you through my best tips on how you can prevent from gaining a lot of weight back and limit your gain to maybe just a couple pounds and then start January 1st off with a bang. Welcome back to my channel. If you're finding value in the videos that you're watching, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. Like I said, I'm going to give you guys my best strategies for navigating the holidays right now. All right, and my very first tip is going to be to spend more time focusing on the people that are in your environment than going to consume the food. I know every year everybody looks forward to Aunt Jan's apple and pumpkin pies and so on and so forth. But the reality of the situation is we need to prioritize what's most important in our lives. And that's going to be our relationships, our families, our relatives we haven't seen in a long time. Spend more time focusing on having really amazing conversations and really connecting with those individuals that matter the most to us. And understand that everybody's going to have the opportunity to enjoy that food, but the relationships and the conversations that you have on that day should hold more value than that pumpkin pie does. All right, and tip number 2 is going to be not going into this meal absolutely starving, okay? Now, I know nobody's a stranger to going to the grocery store and going grocery shopping when they're starving. And I guarantee you spend at least $20 to $50 more on groceries buying stuff that you didn't need. So what I would recommend is actually having a protein and vegetable meal maybe 1, 2, or 3 hours before you actually go to wherever you're having your Thanksgiving meal. This way, you can ensure that you have some satiety from the protein, so you're not going into this thing starving or waking up and saying, all right, I'm just going to fast all day long, and then when I sit down, I'm going to absolutely gorge myself. Because what's essentially going to happen is you'll probably feel bad afterwards, and then you'll have that remorse of, oh, I shouldn't have ate so much. All right, and tip number 3 is for all of my macro trackers out there. If you're currently tracking your calories, you're tracking your fats, carbs, and proteins, these tips are actually going to help you quite a bit. So I wouldn't actually recommend you track this meal at all. In all fairness, I probably wouldn't even recommend you track anything on Thanksgiving because it takes away from tip number 1, which is connection and spending time where it's the most valuable. So what I would do, being that I am somebody that tracks my macros, is I'm going to wake up and I'm going to hydrate and I'm going to make sure that I have a good protein-rich breakfast. So maybe that's bacon and eggs, maybe that's sausage and eggs, maybe that's steak and eggs, something like that. But you'll notice that it's very low carbohydrate. And I'm intentionally not putting the carbohydrates in because I want to store those carbohydrates to be able to have that pie and to be able to maybe have some ice cream and have the sweet potatoes and all the things, carbohydrates, that I enjoy on Thanksgiving. So that's going to be tip number 3, is have a high protein breakfast, potentially a high protein lunch, and then get yourself ready for that afternoon Thanksgiving meal. But again, I don't want you tracking your macros. I don't want you to overcomplicate this because I don't want you to take away from the number 1 most important priority. And tip number 4 is going to be eating until you are satisfied. Now, if you're anything like me, I grew up in a very overweight family household. I grew up having food competitions and everybody was overweight. I was actually a chubby kid growing up because of the fact that every time I sat down and I was provided a meal by either my grandma, my uncle, or whoever, it was almost like they would get mad at me if I couldn't finish it. And for many of you out there listening to this, you probably know that feeling. And so when I grew up and I became a husband and a father, I wanted to make sure that I didn't pass those same traditions down onto my children. I'm actually a father of 4, so when my children are watching me, they're watching how I act, they're watching how I be. I know that they're going to take those same lessons that they're learning from me inside of these types of holidays and essentially pass them on to their children. So I want to make sure that I'm leading by example. I'm being the example for my children so I can essentially make sure that they are not essentially food motivated and they grow up stuffing themselves because they watched me do the same. Understand that this is not going to be your last meal and you can always have leftovers tomorrow. All right, and tip number 5 is going to be using the food that you're eating on Thanksgiving. Now, I know most of you, you're not going to work out on Thanksgiving, and that's totally cool, but I'd highly recommend you get in a really good workout the following day to help to metabolize some of those calories that you ate and get yourself right back on track. Now, I know I shouldn't have to bring up this part, but I know inevitably there's going to be somebody that catches this video after Thanksgiving and they're going to be like, damn, I wish I would have saw this before. However, what can I do right now? Now, I think it's very common for most people to put themselves in a state of reaction mode, where they're like, oh my God, I overdid it. Now I got to start doing cardio every day, going to the gym every day, and I got to take extreme measures in order to get these couple pounds that I may have gained on this day off. But that is not what I'd recommend you do. If you're somebody that's already in relatively good shape, what I would recommend is simply just going back to the very things that got you into a good, healthy position at this point in the year. And that's going to be resistance exercise, drinking more fluids, sleeping well, going for some walks, maybe doing a little bit of cardio, and eating a well-balanced diet. It's not going to be cutting your calories down to nothing and fasting all day and doing cardio all day. That is not what I would recommend at all. Just think about the healthy habits that you want to put back into your life. You can finish the year strong. You got this. If you guys appreciate the content that I provided you in this video, go ahead and leave me a like and a comment down below. I'd really appreciate it because I want to engage with y'all here on YouTube. Thank you so much. God bless, and we'll talk to you next time.